Okay, I guess it's fine. Never mind. Hi guys, my name is Pop Conley. Welcome back to Ace Attorney, where we're still continuing the bonus episode. Yay! At this point, I am going in completely blind because I have not played this part. So this is my first time in this part of the game. Not that it really matters that much because I've shown that I can't remember things very well. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. And a different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. Lana? Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. They didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished yesterday. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how'd it go? It has Mr. Wright's suspect. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind the simultaneous murder, they wouldn't see capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. But Lana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. This guy? We found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belonged to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Blood-stained fingerprints, to be exact. Sorry, I'm just eating some ravioli, don't mind me. Can't get this. There we go. Alright. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards we're dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid you'll have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain in both places at the same time. But that's not physically possible, is it? What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room disappeared. Yes, the body eventually reappeared in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Wow, this is one messed up trial. One of my duties as a prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today, I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. Alright, I finished my ravioli. In doing so, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. That's what set Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds on top of things, even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait. Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness to the stand.
I guess I don't have a haircut tonight.
For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Ooh, boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir. I'm Officer Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murder, sir. So you're telling us you're a professional killer? Sir, it was me. I'm the one who did it. I'll never kill anyone, sir. You gotta believe me, sir. Sir, what you would call a younger generation, sir. Person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Please, Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me, sir. Officer Meekins, yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that in order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I'm part of the generation that must be told what to do, sir. You can't fault him for lack of enthusiasm. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life. Then I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you? Do unto others before they do unto you. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted, and a colleague helped you regain consciousness. Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Yes, sir. I'm in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Yikes, now there's a scary thought. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which means many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir, the lovely police mascot created by the Chief of Detectives, sir. I was to ensure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. It was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see. Sounds like a very important mission. After the awards ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around that I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room. Tell us, what did you see when you got there? In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here around my neck. So then your ID number should be listed here, right? There it is, I found it. It's the one right there. Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir. It's 4989596. That's my number, sir. I see, but the number 49... It's shown being used twice. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first time was when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. The second time is when I went to go get him after everything settled down. I see. So it was during that second time when... Yes, sir. That's when I spotted the man on the security stuff. Whatever. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly... So you were attacked. Can you please tell us what exactly happened to you? It was a knife, sir. A knife. Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You're not exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. Ooh. That's what I reacted, sir. Swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept your cool, your hand wouldn't be... When I saw the blood trickling down my arm, I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. What exactly do you mean when you say did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into kung fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife. I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see. He must have been desperate. Next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in a sea of my blood, and then... Next thing I knew... Yes? He punched me right in my face, sir. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer woke up the witness, it was about 5:30. He hit me right in the head, too. I woke up crying tears of pain. That's nice, or I mean, it's nice you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor, only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? Well, technically it's self-defense, but he's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir... Take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gant delivered it to me this morning, sir. The chief? Delivered it? What is that, a videotape? Yes, sir. That's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. It contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room. What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape. And I was told that it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well, let's have a look. Show us the video of the victim you murdered. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. Video of a real murder. Just what are we... It was self-defense, according to him, though. this supposed to run like a PowerPoint presentation? Okay. Okay, I guess that glove was evidence. Bro had the weapon ready. What? Where did Goodman's body go? Huh? Where did Goodman go? Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? Sir, that's the pride and joy of the entire Criminal Affairs Department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Why am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Security video added to the court record. Yes, well, anyways. This tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone in the evidence room, and some sort of activity did take place. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly and incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Is that right with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir, as you wish, sir. So this clearly should count as self-defense, right? His face can't be clearly seen in the video. But there was no question the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required a Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do. That locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be him. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about a fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint activating lock. Why? These locks ensure that each locker can be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have to have been Detective Goodman. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead, but everything begins with the contradictions. That's where I have to start. Tell me, were you able to get a good look at him? Face of the man who attacked you with a knife? Sir, if you must label people as having seen or not seen the man's face, I believe it would be classified as the latter. The latter, but you were standing right in front of him, were you not? More to the point, you are the person who fought him, aren't you? Oh, yes, sir, but I didn't get a clear look at his face, sir. I'm not the kind of guy who looks directly at people when talking with them, you see. Yeah, it's a good trait for a police officer. Still, I'm sure it was him. I bet my badge on it. But you don't know that for sure, do you? You never actually saw Detective Goodman's face. Well, I suppose you might say that. That is, if you must label people having seen or not seen it. Since his face can't be identified in the video, only you can verify it. But why is everyone looking at me? Morning. If I had to label your stares as disturbing or Meekins. Having been shown a questionable video at best, we are not in the best of moods. Now please be more certain when you testify. Yes, sir. You claim a man who brandished a knife on you was Bruce Goodman? Tell us why you're positive it was him. Yep. About these lockers, is there no other way to open one of them? No, sir, I tried all kinds of methods in the past. They only respond to registered fingerprints, sir. What kind of methods he's tried. If the man opened the locker's lock, which only responds to registered fingerprints, they must be the person the locker was assigned to. Exactly my point, sir, and this too. How do you know that information? I've heard rumors, sir, from people in the know, sir. People in the know? The workers in the department cafeteria, sir. They keep me informed. They also listen to my romantic troubles, sir. For the record, the open locker did indeed belong to Detective Goodman. I verified this information through a more reliable source. So the victim opened the locker with his own fingerprint? However, the most important detail is not shown in this video. The man's face. Sir, if I may say something, sir, please do. After all, you are the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in the case, sir. Or the guy just cut out someone else's finger's skin. I mean, wouldn't Detective Goodman have a cut-off fingerprint on his, corpse? Give or take? Because, it's like a 30-minute drive to and from the police department to the prosecutor's office. So it probably wouldn't have been just after he died or something. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. It was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. My unsettled state can testify enough to this, sir. Yes, you do have a point. The footage doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wright, let's check their court record again. Alright, the lights... I see the problem. The light's on. Which means the locker is already open. Wait, did he lose a finger? Wait, no, go back to his hand. Did he lose a finger from that? I don't know, maybe I just imagined it. Well, I can see the problem. The locker is already open. Regarding the video contained on this tape, there's one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? Interesting. Your Honor, I have a proposal. It probably was, and I just missed it. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose that we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. You would want me to point it out? Very well, proposal accepted. Let's further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video? This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, right? It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Oh, thank God. Just take a good look and be sure to point the right thing out. Please don't play it too many times, sir. I can't stand watching this video. How did this guy ever become a police officer? That's an excellent question. Now then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. What is the contradiction that indicates... Why is the music still going when it's paused? The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. Officer Meekins? Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprints if it's a match. Light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. So something is seriously wrong with this picture. Victim reaches for the handle to open the locker. Let's rewind a little earlier. Done. Here, notice the light. What's this? It's already lit. So someone already opened it. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Hey. Order, order! What's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered. Dogs, you're fine. You don't need to bark at whoever's out there. Anyways, when a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Give me 1 second. Oh, that was just me slurping up some ravioli sauce. Oh, I know. It must have been broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Oh, well, it just goes to show the officers should keep their mouths shut. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Well, you see, this is exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jam the system sensor? Something jam the sensor? Say... There's something else that seems to be out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in the footage. Locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out the cause for this. Maybe rewind? Okay, so the rag is missing. That's a bit strange. Huh. Maybe the glove? No, pause. Maybe? Question mark? Maybe the glove messed with it. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Yes, I see you. Yes, I know. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I have to fall out a roll a great distance when I open my car door, sir. We can't be sure that that item wasn't completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? I don't know. He got that Who Framed Roger Rabbit cartoon type energy going on. He's literally a toon. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand. Now, sir, it's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in that door. Not only that, but it would also have to block the electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator. But at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator, you don't mean... I think I finally got this figured out. Very well. Please present the relevant evidence. What was this insulator that got stuck in the door? The glove? I don't know. I found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. Video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. If that is the case, the lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, you and I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so, sir. Order, order, order. So we are to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Don't be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir, me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? What question? What is question? Okay, question's gone. Very well, begin your testimony. What did he say? My name is Detective Goodman. I am vengeance. Yada yada. There's one thing that can prove that that was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must have used their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his ID card. An ID card record, I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. Miles Edgeworth, Mike Meekins, Bruce Goodman, Mike Meekins. The ID was used at 5:14. Is that the victim? Yeah. That's what we gotta try and call out. Wait, does our evidence mention this? No. Just before the crime, hmm? Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There are only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let's move on to the cross-examination. Mystery Man 2. So, like your early testimony, you believe this is rock solid, do you? Yes, sir, solid as stone, sir. My hand had been wrapped in bandages. I even give the V victory sign, sir. You're trying to disprove that you're not a murderer, though. Couldn't he just use his right hand for that? Let's hear about Foley. As we've seen, one never knows what he might say until the very last second. Is that card hanging from your neck one of these ID cards? Yes, sir. This card right next to my cuff, sir. I keep it there so I won't ever forget it. What if someone were to steal it from you, keeping it out of the open like that? Maybe I should wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times my tie gets stuck when I get out of my car? Well, the remaining time it's my ID card that gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. I should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer has only one ID card. Both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this. Please proceed with your testimony. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to. Let me see. Yes, it will be it, Detective Goodman. What's the matter? According to this, Edgeworth, your name is on here. So it is, Your Honor. Not that prosecutor again. Hey, maybe he's behind all this, behind the prosecutor. He could hide the evidence. Shh, don't stare at him. You've got the wrong color, kid. It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today. I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions or their consequences. Now let's continue with the cross-examination. Poor Mr. Edgeworth, it must be difficult for him. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. What? Just to make sure. Earlier, I believe you testified that when you asked this man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you. Yes, sir, you didn't show me any ID cards, sir. Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all I had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked. Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. Men's room, you want us to use the card. What can I use to prove this? What can I use to prove this? Actually. I mean, we have Detective Goodman's ID card. We also have the ID card record. But, am I dumb? Why don't I know what the blatantly obvious? I mean, we don't know what that lost item report is for, though. Although we can guess it's probably for an ID card. Maybe. Okay, I guess we are supposed to use the ID card on that. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report? It's only half complete. It shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess, you believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there's a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order, order. So, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order, order, order. Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. Okay, now I'm done. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes? What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instance of the murder. That is, well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago, you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. He has like a little goatee soul patch thing going on. Just like me, for real, for real. But besides that, nothing crazy. Well, well, it seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means the murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So, the real crime could only have taken place in one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. I'm sorry, did you just say trustworthy? Did you just describe her as trustworthy? You do know she lied multiple times in court. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. I bet the murder is actually it's Gumshoe, obviously. Gotta be. This activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Gumshoe. I mean Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana... What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? I bet it was Edgeworth. Edgeworth did the crime. This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Yes, I see that. Why? However, it can't be said that this is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination of the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor? If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Yeah, the cloth appeared in the video. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident of the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Please tell me we get options. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, who do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify. What's his or her name? Call up Officer Beacons. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need any longer than 2 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Something. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. February 24th, 11:32 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured out everything. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Anna, you're the one who knows everything. Emma. You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? I hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Aye. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around while on duty. On top of it all, you call me... And top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. No, that'd make my life easier. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. Ah. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh, 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 laughter. You mean this, right? Nah, good morning. Double down. My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when I making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I thought it was you who asked me. Ah. Couldn't bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... Alright, see ya, Ukraine buddy. With a name that I can't exactly read because I can't read those letters, symbols. Have a good night. Ah, what an interesting fellow. Well, that happened. I guess he's gone. Okay. But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you. The chief prosecutor were a witness in that case. Miss Sky was a witness? SL9 incident file received from Lana Sky. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with the serial murderers. Oh, what? Now that I've brought your stuff, you're gonna ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name in here? What? My name is in there? I don't know unless... No, it could be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No, Lana. That's over with. No. Emma, wait. She ran away. You know, I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal. I'm out of here. I guess the discount Maya's gone now. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gantz, and Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you, you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. Better go take a look at this file. Okay, I can't read it yet. Cool, good to know. I'll just read it when I get into the courtroom. February 24th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Oh, wait. Actually... SL9... Incident number SL9 closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark. Crime serial murderer. Sentence death. Victims Edward Jones, Jason Knight, Edith Kirby, Rachel Moss, Jeb Bates, and Neil Marshall. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witness Lana Sky. Witnesses Lana Sky and Emma Sky. Executive investigators Damon Gant, Lana Sky. Head investigator Bruce Goodman, investigators Jake Marshall, Angel Starr. Okay, so she was the witness and an investigator. Neat. Oh yeah, wait a second. So Marshall's probably involved in this. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I'm sorry, I love the little Wild West music that plays in the background on these whenever he shows up. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. Yeah. I'd guess so. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you'll hear the wind howling... The howling wind call it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edward described that way before. I'm just... Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? Desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert stands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Aw, man, he can't keep speaking yeehaw. My job is to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They say I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyways. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. That's not Old English, he's just speaking Wild West. Wild West is not Old English. Old English is like old medieval peasant and old king and stuff like that. He's speaking yeehaw. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. Okay. Okay. Okay, you know what? I'm not arguing on this. You win. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. I feel like there is, but I'm not going to take the time to look it up. Everyone's got their weaknesses. Now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. How exactly do you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still. Even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? He said plain old English. Not old English, plain old English. As in, he said stop speaking with a weird accent. Videos of nothing aren't that useful when the time comes. I erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, then... Which you could say that in the Wild West, that sort of English would be plain. Even though I'm pretty sure it just means like a more regional type of English. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I erased the tape, it felt like I was erasing part of my life. This guy's a flirt from dramatic, but he's not going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard the word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in the way. No desperado I know joined the police force. Huh? So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, plain old now rhymes. Huh? I don't follow. You know what? You win. I'm Shakespearean. I feel like there's definitely a witness in one of the future games that speaks in Shakespearean, like, dialect. Like, sounds like something out of a Shakespeare play. I refuse to believe that there isn't a character that speaks in Shakespeare. I refuse to believe that. There's got to be someone who does. Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. To quote Sun Tzu, all war is based. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? You used to be a detective, so you used the evidence room in the past, correct? I mean, I'm guessing the security cameras are probably a recent thing, I'd assume. Of course, back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner, I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that I mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that, too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Something yeehaw, someone died. He was getting drunk. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vongol Sapia pasta. Do you mean to tell us that you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want a raise this year?" Out of ammo, Officer Marshall. That's right, partner, or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse Wayne about back carry me back west into the sunset. One seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I better keep it cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Do we wanna pull out the fingerprint? Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? Well, yeah, that's his job, as he's supposed to be on cameras. That is, being called to testify like this. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene, or to be exact, a handprint. That's real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be there. Oh, you mean like the guy in the... Okay, never mind, actually. I only wish it were, officer. That's kind of my guess right now. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a hand on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? Yeah, no, I just entirely misread your question. I'm just stupid. About the bloodstained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprints was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprints are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing a glove? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there is room for doubt. Life won't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. I don't know. That's because, how did you pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and the one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without even knowing it. Yeah, probably. Okay, yeah, he still had his fingers. And wearing his glove, GG types 2. He was gloveless. Yep. There we go. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Oh. Multiplay handprint. Was mine, it's no mystery. Oh wait, nope. Alright, I read this part. Just to make sure that we aren't supposed to... No, why do I keep doing this to myself? I don't know. It's just a bad camera, I guess. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, I won't argue the opposite. Just the chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward for me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated? They're different as night and day. Kind of like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, the other type's got to do with murder. He's right, although they're seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what hominins have to do with this. Well, even then, usually there's multiple so that, you know, all the corners can be covered. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There's a blood stain on the scene, though, left by the murderer. That's right. Found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trailing isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully what you're going to do with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it was me in that video, right, partner? What do you mean by that? You want me to tie this to the crime, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. So I was basically saying, use the video. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera is panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera position, they could leave the tape behind without getting caught. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us the evidence that this video indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. I know exactly, yeah. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at that video. It feels so off when you can hear the music, but... I don't like it. What a goofball. Bring our attention back to the security camera. A mistake I'm afraid you'll soon forget. Not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are shorter in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Yep, 8 words. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh, the white cloth, it's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There was only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order. It would seem that the hold your horses. Sorry, partner. But you got the wrong man. What do you mean? So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needs to hide his something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault you happen to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I'd call your bluff. Say open that locker. Now prove it. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. Does he know? He doesn't know. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. He basically explained that he's technologically illiterate. Although even a technologically illiterate person could probably figure this out, but you know, he's a special case. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people who on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. We need to prove it to him. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? Did you bring beef jerky into the courtroom? You brought beef jerky to... Why did you bring beef jerky into the courtroom? Who let him do that? Order, order, order. Witness, please explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. Because Officer Marshall is stupid. I don't know. I stopped questioning. This episode sucks. I'm not going to question it. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in that evidence room at the time of the crime. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Come on, I believe in you. You can do it, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can get that piece of jerky off. I don't think he's gonna do it. Yeah, he's not gonna do it. Ole, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? Alright, that's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? See, Mr. Wright has the right answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Why do we need to point this out? Everyone know. Okay. Officer Marshall's standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in this video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure that he just mentioned he didn't see the man's face very well. Might point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why did he just show it? Yes, he wouldn't have needed it to enter the evidence room, so the answer is simple. He couldn't show it. We're gonna pretend I did accidentally just skip that. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he shows that, his cover would be blown. Officer Meekins would have realized that the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? Come on. Come on, buddy. Take your bite of jerky. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do it. I think you can do it. You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it? You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving he dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beer, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have evidence proving beyond a shadow of the doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? The shoe? Looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was starting out. When you run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? Yeah. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof Officer Marshall was in disguise. Rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yeah, he did, despite the chance they might be discovered later as it was. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all unanswered questions. So the video is my only shot. Very well. Let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker and put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness put away the white cloth. Maybe because of the fight? Well, what do you have to say to that? Alright, partner. You really want to know the reason why I had to open my locker? Why? So I could stuff you in there. Huh? I'm sure the world would be a better place if you sent it to the boneyard. Unfortunately, unsolved cases can't be stored in the evidence room. I have an unsolved case? Okay, so it's the fight. Got it. The fight? Maybe the fact that he was bleeding? I don't know. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman. I entered the evidence room, though I didn't know what end yet. Ever, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. Alright. It seems the time has come. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I just couldn't stand by and let it die. I stole Detective's ID and dressed like him, and I planned to take out the evidence. I was expecting Officer Meekins, so I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So you suppose the victim was really you? But there's only one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. He has way too much blood for such a small donation. Maybe Officer Meekins bled a lot. When you say it, you mean... Do I even have to ask, partner? The SL9 instant. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. I was going to completely end the transferal that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I want to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall was in charge of the investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I... Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out a lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found when it was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he couldn't because Rubber Glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is the one-in-a-million type person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? When he became head prosecutor, I guess. Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked out Officer Meekins and... Here sooner or later, everyone pays by taking over the files. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go in the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If I had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in that security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So you're saying on that day... But the blood found on the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me. I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution, Edgeworth. Like I said. Does he? This isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL incident. You know why? That case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. The one thing I can say for sure is that he deserved his sentence. I can't see Edgeworth Dumpy. So I don't know if it's big or not. I remember that Joe Dark case. It involved serial murderers, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's why I'm trying to figure it out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is? I have a feeling that we wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related to that case some way. Better take another look at the files. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you was sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file right here. Name, Marshall, is mentioned in here. And a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murder with Damon Gantz, the deputy chief of police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That's the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. Now, how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened to the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with his revolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place in the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze me. Exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office. This fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's going to be more than just that. So, if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which, in turn, means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Once our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office, and the only suspect is Lana Skye. And testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. She lied multiple times in court. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disprove the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Your Honor, wait. Emma? The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What scientific objection? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, I'm asking for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. You have 3 minutes! I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dart killings. Now that she mentions it. And both Sky's sisters were in that file. That's what I figured out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day? So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. Not only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be able to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So you did find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific expert at all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by another blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be more of use, but still. If you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer the question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I ever need to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint of Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is that you're grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been glaring at those intently. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean that something has been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. Lots of evidence here. There's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something's missing in the floor plans? The jar? As I say back west, even a blind man can hit with buckshot. That is, as long as he's facing the general direction. If he's right, he's not sure which direction to face. It's no use. The more evidence there is, the greater chance there's me being wrong. The blue badger? What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plan of the crime scene. The Blue Badger's not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. The Blue Badger was body blocking. Well, what? Gasp. That's right, so long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot in the locker. What? So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found in that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Let's try to think through it scientifically. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger in the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave the handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched boulder dash in my courtroom. May sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, just by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept this absurd claim. The murder portrayal in the security tape has been proven to be fake. However, it does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then you're assuming this murder of yours really happened. When did it take place? I demand you show the evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? Summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Officer Marshall, supposedly a Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur, as Mr. Edgeworth presented? Proof that was shown when the murder took place. One piece of evidence that could show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? Show us when the first crime took place. Crime took place inside the evidence room, though the killer would have had to enter it. In order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card recorder. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room. Let's see, 5:50 or 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Aha! Miss Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I would never figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot to figure out what it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from mineral testing fluid that the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. It would have been just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, clear the blood. Fortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have been taking place before Miles Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at this chart again. Only one other card remaining. Number 7777777. On 428. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out who his ID number is 777777777. That 17 too many, Your Honor. I think it's... Hear me out. Hear me out, okay? Emma did it. Now, hear me out. It was Emma. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. Name ID number 7777777 belongs to someone of captain or higher. Someone who's a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to acquire such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which we can be granted such authority. An official charge is filed against an executive is accepted? An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. Exactly. Wait, hear me out. It was Gordy. I would appreciate if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander? It is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not you. To her. The defendant's sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? I still don't notice the dumpy, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna pay extra close attention to Edgeworth's cheeks next time I get a chance. Don't be stupid, she's charged with murder. Of course we looked up her ID, and it's not 7777777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Ask me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally felt powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Lana? I became a prosecutor in order to suppress the crime with the law. Before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator on that crime scene, in the eye and say you did? Chief Prosecutor, you did. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why don't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. Just say yes or no. We did what we had to in order to get him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Huh. Well, you know, Edgeworth got the new forged wheels on his Jeep. Because the courtroom could not have been quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Never mind, I saw, you're right. Edgeworth does have the Forge's wheels on his new Jeep Wrangler. Alright, I think I'm gonna end things off here. I guess that wasn't as bad as last time, but, yeah, I think I'm gonna end it off here. Thank you all for watching. Next time, we're gonna do the last investigation day. So,